My name is Milani Ocampo, and I completed a research study on the failure of the American family court system, titled Broken Homes, Broken Systems. Gabrielle Davis, an attorney and former national legal policy advisor with the Battered Women's Justice Project, claims, for years, survivors and advocates have observed that the family court system fails to adequately protect the safety and well-being of children and their battered parents in domestic violence-related custody cases. This leads to my research question. To what extent does the family court system adequately protect the best interests of children, and what challenges or shortcomings limit its effectiveness in cases involving custody, abuse, or neglect? In this project, I will discuss what is custody, details of intimate partner violence, further information on judicial actors and mediation, and the crossover between child custody and domestic violence. Starting off, what is custody? There are a multitude of custodial arrangements, some of which include legal custody, or parental authority in decision-making, versus physical custody, which refers to the time a child actually spends with their parents. Now, this could be sole or joint in both cases. Sole being that one parent has the right to make these major decisions, joint being that both parents share the responsibility of these major decisions. Now, intimate partner violence. The definition of intimate partner violence from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention claims that it's abuse or aggression that occurs in a romantic relationship. Intimate partner violence refers to both current and former spouses and dating partners. Now, this could include physical violence, sexual violence, or psychological violence. Unfortunately, the statistics are staggeringly high, where 1 out of 3 women experience IPV. Now, 1 out of 4 males experience IPV as well. In the state of Arizona, there is a measures of protective legislation available. There is orders of protection, which are court orders that prohibit a specific person from coming near a home, workplace, or another location listed in the document. Now, an emergency order of protection is similar to a basic order of protection, but it has a shorter lifespan, and it is typically used in cases of imminent danger of domestic violence. Now, a release order is temporary documentation that restricts the actions of a released offender in the case of domestic violence. Now, the judicial actors and mediation. Judicial components include mediators and evaluators. Now, a mediator is responsible for finding common ground on compromise. They implement compromise typically used in safer cases with the potential of reconciliation. Now, this is seen in cases where parents are finding a strain on their personal relationship, but still have that communal goal of maintaining healthy relationships with their child. Okay, now an evaluator is responsible for determining the authentic family dynamics without any advisement, without any reconciliation interest, but simply to observe and relay their personal advisement of the child's best interest. Now, despite its prevalence and its threat to the safety and well-being of children, domestic abuse often remains undetected in child custody proceedings. This could be at both the fault of mediators and evaluators. These cracks in the system can be identified to 3 specific approaches. The first being a patriarchal bias, the second being ignorance is bliss, and the third being deny, deny, deny. To expand, the patriarchal bias is seen as favor towards the fathers, and this is typically observed in evaluators' language within their documentation. Now, this mentality of ignorance being bliss is related to the failure to screen for domestic violence according to protocol. And now, implementing the deny, deny, deny mentality, court actors ignore claims of varied violence within the household. Now, where's the crossover, you might ask? Because IPV and child abuse often co-occur in a single home at the hands of a single perpetrator, separating from an abusive partner may present an escalated threat to the safety of children. This relates to both the consistency of threat between the battered parent and the child, but also offers a segue to the reason why many victims of domestic violence are scared to leave their situation. Now, the effects on children and after a marital separation, abusers are often likely to redirect their behavior towards the children, ultimately exposing them to further child abuse. Now, we can see here that approximately half of all children of battered women have been abused by their mother's abusers. In conclusion, from the outside perspective, there seems to be an obvious solution to this issue. Don't force a child to maintain a relationship with an abuser. However, the social and political implications that surround this conversation act as chains in the judicial decision. Court jurisdiction within the home is a violation of private property, therefore implicating legislative effect in cases of domestic violence. With adequate evidence, victims of domestic violence are able to receive legal protection. Yet extending legislation to a dependent party, the children, is where the shortcomings originate. Now, to solve this problem and save our future generations, society needs to look through a psychological lens. Especially in cases of IPV, children are forced to develop mature cognitive skills as they monitor the behaviors of an abuser as a measure of survival. Children are more aware than given credit for, so the solution is to navigate an increase in their involvement with comprehensive safety measures in their custody decisions. Thank you so much for your time.